the early days of games, it appealed to everyone. You know, the technology wasn't so rich that it didn't require imagination. So it required so much imagination. Everybody was kind of into it, and it was really simple. The controls were simple, the gameplay mechanics were simple, the rules were simple, and the experience was 15, 30 minutes. It wasn't 30 hours. And so somehow as an industry, we've transformed into this model where all of the experiences require super deep investment. They're hyper-realistic. The controllers can be intimidating for people. So we want to kind of take it back as we take it forward and introduce gaming, reintroduce gaming in some cases to the mainstream. The way that we do that, I mean, we're doing some simple stuff. On the remote control, we're going to have up, down, left, right, A, B, X, Y. So somebody that's a little intimidated by the game controller might be able to pick that up and play something like a solitaire game or a poker game or something like that without having to, deal with the controller out of the gate. We're doing the live arcade stuff, which will allow you to on-demand download games. Quick hit games that take 30 minutes, like the good old days. And we're going wireless too. I think wireless, the whole wired controller, it's the most high-tech piece of gear in your living room, yet it's the lowest tech and sort of the most uncomfortable. And especially if you have multiple controllers, winding them up, a lot of people just don't want to deal with that. So we've really tried to think about audience very, very broadly. And if we do that, and the game designers do that with us, and we accommodate that in our marketing, we're hopeful that we can reach back to that broad audience. Everybody wants to write the story that's Sony versus Microsoft, or that we're trying to take the living room over, some such thing like that. What we really want to do is we want to bring gaming to more people. I mean, gaming is fun, and it's unapproachable right now. It's intimidating. The industry has so much more potential. We want to blow out the opportunity that the industry has. Until we turn the world into gamers, there's still a lot of work left to do. And I think, when I wake up in the morning, sure, it's interesting to think about Sony because we compete for the same hardcore gamers, we compete for the same game developers. Obviously, we have to keep an eye on them. But what really keeps me motivated is the success of Desperate Housewives or American Idol. I mean, that's where, in America at least, that's where people have their attention focused, their leisure time focused. It's not on games. That's our competition. If we really want to grow gaming to its potential, our goal with Xbox 360 is to have the most impressive launch lineup a console has ever had. And E3 is a moment in time. I think the stuff looks great, but we're still on alpha kits. We've got to get to the full performance of the beta hardware. And the launch lineup is just really going to be fantastic, but it's not going to be able to take full advantage of the system yet because developers just haven't had the time. And so I look into the future and I see, we've got 3 cores worth of computing power there. And game designers are accustomed to a single core architecture. So moving forward, they're going to start using those multiple cores to do more aggressive physics. And you're going to see more interactive game worlds. Right now, if you walk into a forest in a video game, you say, it doesn't quite feel real. And if you look at a CG movie, you say, well, Lord of the Rings, the forest looked a little bit more real. That's not about pixels, right? What it's about is the fact that in these render farms, they handcraft all these individual trees. With the kind of computing power that we have in Xbox 360, you'll be able to, rather than hiring a bunch of artists to create a bunch of trees one-off, instead you'll write the tree program. And you'll render all these trees, and you won't have the repeating trees or the repeating wall texture or brick texture or whatever else that makes the video game look a little artificial. So I'm looking forward to the reality of games notching up, and the AI of games as well. And AI becoming really a little bit more intelligent, not just better patterns. But a little bit more about thinking. I do think not just being first, but also having great software development tools means that it's the preferred platform. I absolutely believe that Xbox 360 will be the preferred platform for game development, and by virtue of it also being first, I think you're going to see a lot of publisher and developer commitment to the platform where it becomes the primary platform, even for these multi-platform SKUs. And even if that's the case, on the multi-platform SKUs, you'll see a moderate edge probably because they're really trying to spread their IP investment. And if you look at where we were this generation, that's where I hope to be next generation as well, where every game looks better on Xbox. If you give the game creators better tools and a better platform and better support, that will be true. And that was true this generation, and we're targeting for that to be true next generation. The HD media thing, we went out, we talked to game developers, and we say, stack rank or prioritize the features that you want in an optical media solution. They say, number one, we want throughput, high, fast throughput, so we gave them a 12x drive. Second thing they say is we need short seek time. So if they're looking for the audio that says touchdown, and the drive has to seek. They want the seek to be really, really low. We talk to publishers and they say, we want it to be cheaper than it was this generation. Cost of goods really affects the business model. And we looked at some of these blue laser technologies, and I mean, the first thing to say is none of them are done yet. They're all in discussion around both the media and the drive format itself. But the thing is, when you go to a new optical format, you lose the throughput that game developers want, your seek time goes down, your manufacturing costs go up, and your defect density also goes up. So your read errors go up. When your read errors go up, your performance goes down. So it just seemed incongruous for us to make a choice that said blue is the way to go, because nobody's asking for more capacity. Right? That wasn't the high order bit. More capacity is nice, and we deliberately, with Xbox One, added a bunch of capacity so we could be dual layer. Over 90% of Xbox One discs fit on a single layer, and they don't even use the second layer. So the hypothesis that if you've got the space, you'll use it has been proven untrue for the last 3.5 years. So I think we've done the right thing, absolutely, for the game developers. And then the secondary thing is, we want to make sure that there are no constraints in manufacturing. We want to be able to make sure that we have drives. Gamers want Xbox 360, so betting on a drive technology that doesn't exist, we want to make sure that we can get not only the systems into gamers' hands, but also the games. And nobody's making blue discs yet. I think you'd probably have a better feel for it than I do, and it's just so hard to say. When you ask somebody if they want something, out of the blue, of course. Do you want it to play all your old stuff? Yeah, I'd like it to play my vinyl records too. I'd like it to play cassette tapes. If you ask me the question open-ended like that, sure. And then you say, well, here's the trade-off. Would you rather have 3 CPU cores and not be able to play cassette tapes, or 2? Well, I don't really know enough to answer that question. And so I guess what'll matter is when the games come out. And I think that's a situation with backward compatibility. I think it's a really interesting topic right now. And so everybody wants to talk about it and speculate it. And if you ask a gamer out of the blue, they're going to say yes. When you see the launch lineup, you might never want to go back. I look at PlayStation. They make a big deal about their backward compatibility. There are only 2 games from PlayStation 1 that I'd ever want to play again. It's Wipeout and Wipeout XL. Those are the only 2 games, and that's only because they didn't satisfy me with a new Wipeout that was even better this generation. So of all those hundreds and hundreds of games, only 2 matter, and guess what? I never played them. The Japanese game developers have always been very impressed with the platform, but our start in Japan was such that they didn't want to support us. They look at our plan now. We've been working with them persistently since the beginning of the Xbox program, always keeping them informed, always taking their input. And we took their input into mind with the hardware we designed, the software and the tools that we created, and we've added new capabilities in Live as well that allow them to do things that they want to do. So you saw Mr. Wada on stage at the press conference talking about Final Fantasy. He says PC gamers and Xbox 360 gamers are going to be able to find each other and play with each other online. And that was a capability that we expressly added to Xbox Live as a result of the input from the Japanese game developers. So I think our responsiveness has been great, and we're seeing the early payoff. Once they start bringing some of those properties over, I think you're going to see more and more Japanese developers really flocking to the platform. It's going to be a challenge. I'd be lying if I said it didn't keep me up at night thinking about it. There's so many moving parts to this whole equation. You try to do it all at once. It's not just launching a new gadget. It's the hardware, it's all of the games, it's all the developer support for all the developers around the world, it's all the retail execution. So it's a tall order, but we think our community deserves it. We don't think that it's fair to spread out the release of a new platform over the course of a year. We designed the product to be worldwide, our audience is worldwide, and we want to give it to them as quickly as we can. And it won't be the same day. It just won't. Logistically, that's just impossible. But we're going to try to launch as tightly as possible in the 3 primary regions. And then we're not going to be complacent there. In 2006, we're going to go and backfill all the regions that we're in right now with Xbox. I want, when a gamer opens Xbox 360, they go to the store, they buy it, and they open the box, I want them to feel special. I want them to think that everything that went into that product was designed for them, and the experience of just taking it out and plugging it in is as special as the experience that they have with the game. So I think that that the attention to detail and the thoughtfulness that's gone into this product is unlike any other consumer product that's been designed, and that's going to be my success metric. I want people to feel like we created it for them.